I'm Sarah Carter, 26 years old, and if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have told you family was everything to me. I spent my 20s working double shifts, scrimping and saving all to make sure the people I loved never went without. I thought being the reliable daughter meant that one day I would be seen appreciated, maybe even celebrated. But the truth came crashing down at a single dinner table with the flick of a wrist and the jingle of car keys that weren't mine. It was a warm evening in Hartford. Mom had set the table, Dad poured wine, and my younger sister Avery sat across from me, her grin smug, as if she already knew what was about to happen. I didn't. Not until Mom slid a velvet box across the table and Avery opened it to reveal a gleaming set of car keys, a Tesla, worth $120,000 for graduating. The way Mom beamed at her, you'd think Avery had just cured cancer, not finished her degree debt-free. I sat frozen fork halfway to my mouth, my stomach twisting as I thought about all the nights I'd come home exhausted from my office assistant job, bills in one hand and worry in the other. I'd helped cover groceries when Mom's card declined, balanced Dad's books when his real estate deals fell apart, even paid for Avery's textbooks so she wouldn't fall behind. I gave, and in return, my sister got a luxury car. Then Mom turned to me. Her smile disappeared, her tone suddenly sharp. "Sarah, next month you owe wow and $200 for rent." I blinked, sure I'd misheard her. Rent. In my parents' house, Dad didn't flinch. He just sipped his wine. Avery twirled the Tesla keys around her finger, smirking. My heart pounded so loud, I thought everyone could hear it. I wasn't just overlooked. I was punished. I didn't argue. I didn't scream or demand answers. I stood up my chair, scraping loudly against the wood floor, and walked away. My hands were shaking as I packed my laptop, a few clothes, and my phone into a bag. I grabbed the keys to my battered old Honda from the counter and walked out without a word. The Tesla's headlights caught me as I left, mocking me with their shine. I drove straight to my best friend Alyssa's place. She didn't ask questions when I showed up at her door with puffy eyes and trembling hands. She just opened her arms and let me fall apart. I didn't leave a note for my family, no goodbye. They didn't deserve one. But the next morning, as I sat on Alyssa's couch with a cold coffee in my hand, something kept gnawing at me. I remembered the bank statements I'd seen a few months earlier while helping Dad with his accounts. Transactions that didn't make sense. Withdrawals I couldn't explain. My gut twisted as I opened my laptop and logged into the old joint account I'd once used for his business. I still had access. Maybe he'd assumed I'd never bother looking again. My hands shook as I scrolled, and then I saw it. A withdrawal of $50,000. Dated 3 years ago, right when Avery started at Yale. Another $20,000 the year after. Then smaller amounts, $10,000, $5,000, adding up to nearly $200,000. Every single one aligned with Avery's tuition, her laptop upgrades, her summer abroad in Paris. I felt sick. This wasn't just favoritism, this was theft. My breath caught as a name surfaced in my mind. James Bennett. Grandpa's old financial advisor. I'd met him once years ago. I pulled out my phone and searched for his number, my chest tight, my pulse racing. To my surprise, it was still listed. I dialed, my voice trembling, when he answered. "Mr. Bennett, this is Sarah Carter, William Carter's granddaughter. I need to ask you something about a trust." There was a pause, and then his voice was calm but certain. "Sarah, I've been expecting your call." My blood ran cold. He told me the truth my family had buried for 16 years. My grandfather had left me a trust fund. $200,000 meant for my education, my future, my dreams. And my father, Brian Carter, had been the trustee. Every withdrawal I'd seen had come straight from that trust, my trust. Grandpa had even left a letter outlining his wishes. James still had a copy. Within minutes, it was in my inbox. I opened the scanned file, my grandfather's neat handwriting filling the screen. "To my dearest Sarah, this trust is for your dreams, a college education, a home, a life you build on your own terms. Don't let anyone take it from you." Tears blurred my vision. Grandpa had seen it coming. He'd tried to protect me from Dad's favoritism, from Mom's silence, from Avery's endless rewards. And still Dad had stolen it all. I sat there in Alyssa's apartment, staring at the ceiling as the reality crashed over me. I had spent years working late, covering bills, sacrificing every piece of myself for a family that not only gave me nothing, but stole what was already mine. For the first time in my life, anger rose higher than grief. I wasn't just hurt, I was done being their doormat. Dad thought I'd stay quiet, keep playing the good daughter. He was wrong. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on Alyssa's couch, staring at the ceiling, my chest tight, my fists clenching and unclenching like they needed something to hold on to. Betrayal has a way of hollowing you out, making every breath feel borrowed. I kept hearing my grandfather's words echoing in my head. Don't let anyone take it from you. He'd trusted my father to protect what was mine, and instead Dad had fed it to Avery's dreams while mine withered away. By morning, the anger had crystallized into something sharper resolve. I wasn't going to let this be another chapter of me swallowing the pain in silence. For years, I'd been the one to patch holes in everyone else's lives. This time, I was going to tear through the lies they'd built around me. Alyssa found me at the kitchen table laptop, opened my eyes raw from reading the trust documents over and over again. She set a mug of coffee in front of me and said softly, "So, what's the plan?" I didn't even look up. I'm taking it back. That morning, I called James Bennett again. His tone was calm, measured, but I could hear the relief under his words. He'd known for years something was wrong, but as trustee, my father had been the one with legal control. Sarah James said you have grounds to contest. I can connect you with an attorney who specializes in fiduciary fraud. But you need to be ready, your father will fight. I thought of Dad's face stone cold as he told me I owed rent. I thought of Mom's silence, Avery's smug grin, the gleam of those Tesla keys. Let him fight, I said. Within a week I was sitting across from an attorney named Rachel Lawson. She was sharp-eyed with the kind of no-nonsense presence that made you sit up straighter. She laid it out plainly. What Dad had done was not just unethical, it was criminal. Misappropriating trust funds, falsifying withdrawals, redirecting money meant for me to someone else. There were laws against all of it. As Rachel spoke, I felt something shift inside me. For so long, I'd been the powerless one, the overlooked daughter, the scapegoat. But here in this quiet office with files spread out across the desk, I had power, proof, a case. Of course, the first wave hit fast. A week after Rachel filed the petition to freeze what was left of the trust, my phone lit up with Dad's number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. His voice came through the line, clipped and angry. "What do you think you're doing, Sarah? Do you have any idea what you've started?" I held the phone tight, forcing my voice steady. "I'm taking back what's mine, what Grandpa left for me, what you stole." There was a long pause, then his voice dropped to a growl. "You've always been ungrateful. Everything we did for you, and this is how you repay us." I almost laughed. "Ungrateful, I paid your bills. I bought groceries. I covered Avery's textbooks. And you gave her my future." His breath crackled through the line, heavy and furious. Then the words, "I'll never forget Avery deserved it more than you ever would." I hung up before he could say another word. My hands were shaking, my chest burning, but for the first time I felt the fire of vindication. He'd said it out loud. The favoritism I'd felt my whole life wasn't just paranoia, it was his truth. Word spread quickly in the family. Mom called next, her voice trembling. "Sarah, can't we talk about this? You're tearing us apart." I bit back tears. "Mom, you stood by while Dad drained my future dry. You watched it happen. You don't get to ask me to stay quiet now." Avery's call came last. Unlike Mom, she wasn't begging, she was furious. "You're jealous, Sarah. You always have been. Grandpa's money went to someone who would actually do something with it. You should be thanking Dad, not attacking him." Her words landed like knives, but I didn't flinch. "Avery, enjoy your car, enjoy your degree, because soon you'll be paying it all back." When I hung up, Alyssa was watching me from the couch, eyes wide. "You okay?" she asked. I let out a shaky breath, my hands still trembling but my spine straight. For the first time in my life, yeah, I am. But deep down, I knew the hardest part hadn't even begun. Court dates were set. Lawyers were sharpening their knives. My father was about to learn that the daughter he called a burden was no longer afraid. The first court hearing was held in late March, and I'll never forget the way my father looked at me when we stepped into that room. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't ashamed. He wore the same smug expression I'd seen at countless family dinners, the one that said, "I'm the head of this house and nothing can touch me." But this time he was wrong. Rachel sat beside me, crisp in her navy blazer, radiating calm control. She opened with the evidence, withdrawal after withdrawal, each one matching Avery's tuition bills, her Paris trip, even the Tesla down payment. Every line item stolen from the trust my grandfather had left for me. As Rachel's voice filled the room, my chest swelled with a mixture of dread and vindication. Dad's lawyer tried to spin it. He claimed the money was redirected for family benefit, that Avery's education had been an investment for everyone. But Rachel didn't let him off easy. She asked one simple question. Where in the trust document does it authorize the trustee to use Sarah's inheritance for her sister's expenses? Silence. My father's jaw tightened. The answer was nowhere. As the hearing ended, Dad brushed past me with a glare sharp enough to cut glass. "You'll regret this," he muttered under his breath. But instead of fear, I felt something else rise inside me, strength. He was rattled. He knew the truth was catching up. The weeks that followed were brutal. Every day felt like reopening an old wound. Mom sent texts begging me to stop saying I was destroying the family. Avery plastered Instagram with photos of her car and designer clothes, writing captions like, "Some people just can't handle success." Each post was a knife twist, but it also worked against them. Rachel documented everything. The judge needed proof Avery had benefited unfairly, and she was handing it to us in high definition. One night, as I sat scrolling through Avery's feed, Alyssa leaned over and whispered, "Do you realize what you're doing? You're not just fighting for money. You're breaking the cycle. You're showing them you won't be silent anymore." Her words lit something in me. For years, I had accepted the role they'd written for me. The responsible one. The fixer, the invisible daughter. Now I was rewriting the story. The second hearing was the climax. Rachel presented Grandpa's handwritten letter, the one James had safeguarded all these years. The courtroom went silent as she read aloud. "To my dearest Sarah, this trust is for your dreams. Do not let anyone take it from you." Tears burned in my eyes. For the first time, I felt my grandfather's presence in that room, like he was standing behind me, steadying me as my voice trembled. When Dad took the stand, Rachel's questions cut through every excuse. "Did you authorize the withdrawal of $50,000 in 2017? She asked. He shifted. "Yes. Did those funds go toward Avery Carter's Yale tuition?" His jaw clenched. "Yes." The more he admitted, the heavier the silence grew. Mom sat in the back, dabbing at her eyes. Avery crossed her arms, glaring at me like I had just burned down her world. Maybe I had. The judge's ruling didn't come that day, but I already knew the tide had turned. Outside the courthouse, Avery stormed up to me, her voice dripping with venom. "You're pathetic, Sarah. Grandpa would be ashamed of you." I steadied my breath, looked her in the eyes, and said softly, "No, Avery. He'd be ashamed of you." That night, for the first time in years, I slept without waking up in a cold sweat. Because no matter how long the battle dragged on, I knew the truth was on my side. And truth has a way of cutting deeper than any betrayal. But I also knew this wasn't over. Dad wasn't the kind of man to give up quietly, and the next chapter of this fight would test me in ways I never imagined. The ruling came 6 weeks later on a rainy Thursday morning. I remember sitting in that courtroom with my hands clenched so tightly in my lap that my nails dug half-moons into my skin. The judge's voice was calm, measured, but every word landed like thunder. He declared my father guilty of breaching his fiduciary duty as trustee. The trust fund, what remained of it, was to be restored under new management. Damages would be pursued for the money already stolen. My father's face went pale, his jaw working furiously as the verdict sank in. Avery looked like she'd swallowed glass. I should have felt victorious, but in that moment, all I felt was grief. Grief for the years I'd lost, for the girl who once believed her parents would protect her, for the sister I'd defended even when she mocked me. Justice was mine, but it came at the cost of a family already shattered beyond repair. After the hearing, Mom cornered me in the hallway. Her eyes were red, her hands trembling as she reached for me. "Sarah, please. Your father was just trying to keep us together. Can't you let this go? We're family." Family. That word had been used as a weapon against me my whole life. I pulled my arm back and whispered, Family doesn't steal your future and call it love. She flinched like I had struck her, but I didn't stop. I begged for years to be seen, to be heard. And you stayed silent. This is on you too. Her tears fell, but for once they didn't move me. I walked past her and out the courthouse doors into the rain, each drop washing away the last fragments of guilt clinging to me. The weeks that followed were chaos. My father's business collapsed under the weight of legal fees and lost reputation. Avery's car was repossessed, her Instagram suddenly quiet. Mom sent letter after letter begging me to visit, to talk, to forgive. I read them all, then slid them into a drawer. I couldn't throw them away, but I couldn't let them back into my life either. At night, I sat in my small apartment lit by the warm glow of the lamp Grandpa had given me for my 16th birthday. I'd run my hand over the base, remembering his steady voice, his quiet wisdom. He had seen me even when no one else did. He had believed in me. And now, in some strange way, his words had carried me through this storm. One evening, Alyssa and I sat on my balcony watching the city lights flicker. She nudged me gently. "You know," she said, "you could use this. Your story. People out there need to hear that they're not alone." I thought about it long into the night. She was right. This wasn't just about money or betrayal. It was about survival, about reclaiming my worth, about refusing to be erased. So here I am telling you my story. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. Because maybe you've been where I was, silenced, overlooked, made to feel like you didn't matter. And maybe you need to hear this: you do matter. The scars don't fade overnight. I still wake some mornings with a knot in my chest, still wonder if I could have done something differently. But then I remember that moment in court, the sound of the judge's gavel, the truth finally spoken aloud. And I know I did what I had to do. I lost a family, but I found myself. And in the end, that was the only thing I ever truly needed. If my story touched something in you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss the stories to come. And in the comments, tell me, have you ever had to walk away from the people who were supposed to love you? I'd love to hear your story.